Philosopher.
Yes, the caveman
The man
philosopher.
cave, the caveman philosopher. And it's a theory based on going back to basics, keeping it simple, and really finding yourself through a journey of transition, motivation, and I'm going to say stamina after past discussions with you. So Gerry's going to come and join us for 45 minutes today to share his story of transition and how we as, I'm going to say we, but we as people who are of service out there can reach out to other people in need. Is that fair to say? So welcome to you, Gerry. Please introduce yourself.
Hello there. Yes, I am Gerry Williamson, aka the Caveman Philosopher. Sometimes feels a bit weird actually saying that. So yes, so that's the handle I go by on social media, and I have a Facebook group I set up maybe about 3-4 months ago called the Man Cave. And aligning in with that caveman kind of philosophy thing, and it's basically just somewhere for guys to go and, you know, share their experiences, share their chat in life, fitness tips, biohacks, you know, deals and holidays, whatever, just something to make a guy's life better, because at the time obviously there was a spate of suicides and stuff like that in the kind of Motherwell Wishaw area, Lanarkshire area. So, you know, I felt compelled to do something about it. I was doing some voluntary work at Chris's house at the time as well, which is a suicide prevention charity in Wishaw. And I just felt compelled to at least share my experiences and knowledge and kind of how I put my life back on track. And the caveman part of it all was to kind of signify to guys that it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It just needs a little bit more thought, so we can break it down into caveman terms, and that's what I was doing. I was sharing my experiences, my thoughts on social media a lot. I first started out as a council stoic, but I was starting to attract followers from like America and like Europe, and I'm like, they're not going to know what council is, like, so.
And they wouldn't understand the scheme, would they? They'd be like, the what?
Oh no. So that was it. So that was the thing behind that, and I thought it was quite good. I liked it because, you know, philosophy doesn't need to be. You don't need to be an ancient Greek or some academic. You know, you can just be sitting there being philosophical, looking back at your life, putting instances and meaning to it, and that's what I was doing. I was putting up these wee posts, making these wee videos. A lot of guys who are a similar background to me, maybe grew up in a council estate, had a bit of trouble in the past, you know, similar backgrounds, and they were latching on to it, and they were liking what I was saying, and, you know, and they were kind of taking it and running with it as well, and, you know, and people were buying into that idea. So that was it. That's how this has all been born.
Can I, before we move on there, sorry, Joe, can I ask you one question? And it's just been playing on my mind there. How do you feel about men and women being wired up differently? Because I love your philosophy. It is caveman, it is basic, it keeps it simple and understandable. And, you know, women would deal with things very differently. Women, as we mentioned, would sit around the table with a teapot and have a chat. And that goes back to our grand's gran and so on. Men are very different. So what do you think? Are they wired up a wee bit different? Is that a fair assessment? Or am I talking rubbish?
Well, I think women are better at suffering, whereas we tend to suffer. So I think that comes through the masculine and feminine energies, but it's knowing how to actually harvest that and harvest it right. And this is obviously where I would say I'm pretty much still at the infancy, learning all of that sort of thing. And predominantly just now I work with guys and stuff like that. So I need to be realistic and think if it ever becomes a business or something more fruitful than this, then, you know, obviously I will be working with women and stuff like that as well. So that's a side I need to get to know. But what I understand is that women can harvest both masculine and feminine energy a lot better, where the men, or us males, we tend to hold on to that masculinity and ego. So there's not really a lot of that kind of feminine energy that it goes about too much. I think it's something a lot of guys are kind of switching on to, and they would probably see it. They've been doing it without even knowing, you know, the kind of touches round about their kids and the affection and all that love and stuff like that. Well, I mean, that really is that feminine side to it, you know, being able to be like that with their children. So there's maybe just that little bit of lack of understanding what it is, and not to be put off by it, you know. But again, that's all just kind of comes under the one envelope, is what I was explaining there. A lot of guys they just suffer, and ultimately sometimes suffer in silence. And what ends up happening is the outpouring of emotion either gets vented out through drink, drugs, alcohol, anger, emotional issues. They become very withdrawn in themselves. Sometimes they self-harm, and even worst case scenario, suicide. So my whole idea is to kind of be someone who's going to stand up there and say, listen, do you know what? See everything you're feeling? I've felt it too, and it's okay to feel like that. Don't worry about it, but listen, as long as we start doing something about it, then we can work our way out of this. So I like the slogan, it's okay not to be okay, and all of that sort of thing, but I would like to add a little bit onto it where it says, but what are you doing about it, or are you taking action as such? And I'm a guy who, like, I'm a doer, you know, I'm a thinker and I'm a doer, and I feel by combining the two of them, and pretty much being more of a doer sometimes, then that's where you get the results, you know, as rather than just sitting there thinking all the time and not actually, you know, putting the feet on the ground and going and doing something, or going and speaking to somebody or something like that. So my whole idea is to kind of take all of this learning and stuff that I'm picking up just now, and all these wonderful people that I'm meeting and working with, and all these other experiences, you know, putting it into the sausage factory, and then spitting it out into like relatable terms for the guys that they can kind of say, all right, you know what, that is what that is, and oh, you're right, you know, I felt like that in my life before. So that's
Can I just stop you for, sorry Gerry, 2 seconds. I've got to tell you while it's on my mind, because it's actually really relevant. And
I'm just caveman in here with my protein shakes. So
that's, you know, my brew. Cheers.
So, I've got tea. That's my feminine side, and that's my protein, which is a masculine side. So you know, it's
the teapot, it's the cup of tea scenario. This is exactly what I'm
both my energies, masculine and feminine. You know, so there you go.
What a picture! What a picture! But the funny thing is, in the social scene that I socialise in, they are masculine men, men's men, testosterone fueled, all that stuff. And you know, it's really weird. There's a handful of men that come up to me in the corner and go, Fiona, I follow you on Facebook. I love what you do. Can we talk? Right. But it's hush, hush, under the spotlight. Don't let anybody see me. And I just find that hilarious. And my partner's like, what are they talking about? I was like, oh, they just love what we're doing, but they'll not tell their pals. And the thing is, there's half a dozen of them in the same room, and individually they'll come up to you during the course of the night and have a wee chat. Yeah. And it's just
I mean, for me, like, I mean, there's some terrific examples of women out there that absolutely knocking the socks off it, and they're doing the role of a mother and father, you know what I mean? They're out there and they're breadwinners, but they're also tucking the kids up at night, sort of thing as well. You know, so there's terrific examples there. There's women out there smashing it with the PD, and you know, they're doing the kind of life coaching stuff as well. Some business women and entrepreneurs and everything else. Like 2019 now, you know, there shouldn't be that kind of stigma about, like, you know, being able to go and speak to a woman, or confiding in somebody who, like, for me, I just look at people and that's all it is. They're a person. So whether you're a man or woman, if you've got something that's valuable for me, then, you know, like, I don't kind of see that, right, you know. Although I did obviously look at it and think that I know men, and I know my experiences because I'm a man. So that's how I set off into that kind of field as such. But I also know that the suicide rates, you know, that affects men greatly, mostly. And that's back to that, you know, women know how to suffer better. So, just kind of concluding there with what I was saying about the masculine and feminine energy, you know, some of the females out there that's absolutely rocking it. And me now, I'm looking at it more broadly, and although I set out initially to start working with men, I think there's terrific examples that I can particularly lean on now on my journey and start saying, right, let's look at the other side of the fence, and let's get some fair points from there. And you know, yeah. So that's what
because we are, no matter whether male or female, we all have the same shit. We all have the same stories and the same garbage that we're working through. It's just that women do have, you know, there's different biological things within women and men that makes a difference. You know, there's different hormones, and that is the only difference. If you were to cut that aside, we're just the same. Yeah, it's just like, is what it is.
And I mean, again, it's then you start expanding it a bit and saying, right, well, what other parameters do affect that? So, you know, you've got cultural and environmental, you know, circumstances where this country is really Scotland and even Northern England, whatever, you know, they're more industrial type countries, areas of that way. So if you think of that background of, you know, being in the steel works, especially Lanarkshire, you know, we had the two big massive steel works with a mining industry. So that's generational stuff there. With, you know, the man goes out and he does the graft and he comes back in and he hands the pay packet in and you know, he just gets on with it, sort of thing. And I know society's changing. The world's became a smaller place with social media, you know, all that sort of thing. But to me, there's still that backbone that we're coming out of that way with the male ego and like being able to open up and talk about feelings and emotions and stuff that's basically led us to there. Because there's a lot of guys just don't have the understanding of like past traumas, experiences, you know, things that they've been taught and shown. They get to this stage and they just don't. The thing that they'll say is like, I don't know what's up with me. And that may be very true, because if you don't know, you don't know. It's like, you know, somebody standing looking at a door and you know how you pull the handle down and you just pull the door back, sort of thing, and they just haven't a clue how to open it. And that's where,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, you can't, that doesn't mean that you're voiding any responsibility for it just because, you know, you maybe had a bad upbringing or something like that. I'm reading a book just now, or I'm listening to an audio book called The Chimp Paradox, and it's great. It's very, very simplistic, and I've advised the guys in my group, like, go learn a bit, go pick this book up, or, you know, listen to an audio, because it's fantastically simple. It breaks it down between the feeling and the thinking, and it breaks it into your human side, your chimp side, and basically this computer in the middle where the human and the chimp both go for its data.
Yeah.
And I think if you're not going to veer into the holistic side, the spiritual side, you know, and you think meditation, all that's a bit wacky, whatever else, then, you know, there's still plenty of resource out there that's very, very simple. And I think I probably like it because it's in caveman terms and such, so it's aligned with how I'm trying to put things across. So, yeah, I mean, so it's purely a lack of knowledge, but sadly, now we're losing a lot of young men to that lack of understanding, lack of knowledge, and they think there's only one way out. And if it's not through escapism, through some other coping mechanism, then, like I said, it's the worst case scenario.
Oh, absolutely. Can you tell us a wee bit about your journey? If that's okay with you, because it's really interesting. I think it's great for the listeners to understand, because it's good for people like you and I, you know, to go out and share the knowledge. But when they know that we have been through whatever they're going through, you know, to a degree, not always replicating, but most mentors and coaches have been through a whole lot of shit in the beginning, believe me.
Yeah. So I kind of go back 10 years when I talk about starting my journey. That's when I was basically released from prison. I was released from prison after doing a short sentence in April 2009. And when I'm saying a short sentence, it was enough to derail my life. But previous to that, it was just a culmination of things that brought me to there. I had a lot of past traumas, you know, through my 20s, I had a lot of violent altercations. I was in bother a lot with the police and stuff like that.
Is that your teenage years, Gerry? Sorry, is that your teenage years?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not saying any, but most people in these areas and grew up in council estates or anything like that, you know, you drank in your teens, you smoked in your teens, you took drugs in your teens, all that sort of thing. That's what your peers done.
Yeah.
So it really kind of started picking up in my early 20s. I started falling foul more and more with the law. Things get a little bit more serious with the stuff that I was getting involved with. And towards then as well, you know, I was always dependent on alcohol. I wouldn't say I was an addiction as such, but it was a form of escapism for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I sailed very close to the wind a lot of times in life, and it culminated in me getting a sentence towards the end of my 20s. That then gave me a bit of a wake-up call. I think I was like 28 at the time. Spent the next 18 months after being released from prison. You know, at the time there was a credit crunch on, so there was no work. I had to go to England to work 5 days a week, so I was down there Monday to Friday, then travel back home. I tried to start living a better life because I just knew that being in prison wasn't something I wanted to do, and have my family come and visit me, all that sort of thing. So for the next 18 months after being released, I tried to turn things around, but I was always falling foul of my old habits, old practices. But in this point, you know, my mind was going through a transition period, and, you know, I was being torn between, like, wanting to be a good guy, but I was still a bad guy, and, you know, I just couldn't figure it out, like, how to stop this repeat cycle of going out, messing up, you know, behaving for a couple of months' time. Luckily enough, I wasn't doing anything that I was falling foul with the law, so at that time I took that pressure away from myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was still continuing to let people down in just a different manner. I just became a new dad as well, you know, towards the end of my 20s. So, you know, I was compounding misery on myself. And as I was heading into my 30s, you know, I look back on that decade and I was feeling that I'd just wasted it. I didn't feel worthy of myself. I didn't know how to be a good person, but I just knew I didn't want to be a bad person.
Yeah.
So this all kind of came to my head one time, I said about 18 months after I left prison, and, you know, I found myself for the last time I felt suicidal, and I'd had instances before in my 20s where I'd actually made attempts in my life and hospitalised myself twice. So,
I was just going to ask you that. Had you actually gone as far as making that attempt to go, I'm done, I'm finished?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've like, again, I've got physical scars along there to kind of, you know, that I had to live with, and I think what I actually done is, because I was so ashamed of what I'd tried and what I'd attempted and what I'd basically felt, you know, I used to have this kickback towards people who, you know, had took their life or had attempted to take their life, and all of that sort of thing. So as you do with that, you know, you're scared of your own feelings and emotions. So you know, you hate on other people for it when it's actually how you feel, because you're just embarrassed about your feeling.
It's like you attack them before they attack you. Yeah.
Of course, and that's how I really spent most of my 20s anyway, because I was saying with the trauma and stuff like that had been ever present. It left me very sheltered and broken, but what I'd done is I put a good facade on it, you know, like I said, aesthetically wise, I was a bigger boy, you know, I was quite muscly and had tattoos, all the rest of it, so it fitted right in with being this, you know, big tough guy and all that sort of thing with it. But really inside I was broken, and I've been broken for a long while, but it's only really now that I know that, you know, so I can't even look back and say, why didn't you know that? No. I just didn't. And
you said earlier, you don't know if you don't know. If you haven't got that concept in your mind, you're not going to have that acknowledgement 100%.
The thing is, you just took it as an acceptance that that's what guys done for a start anyway, because I knew another 10, 20, 30 other 50 guys who behaved the same way I did, so it was just my environment anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I sat in this, I ended up wandering off one night, and I think I gave a few people a fright because I just disappeared. And you know, I remember sitting in this hotel bed in a hotel in Coatbridge, and you know, I basically had a conversation with myself saying, look, we either check out as in check out the hotel, or we check out as in check out of life. Yeah. Because I'm done. Like, I'd been here 1,000 times before, but I was like, I'm done. I'm really done with this, you know.
Well, Gerry, was it a feeling of I just can't do it anymore? Is that what it is?
I was just so sick because I knew I'd let people down. It was like, I think it was my friend's wee boy's christening that day as well. So like, rather than being with his family and preparing for that, you know, they were worried. They were out looking for me. Yeah. I'd had my baby daughter had been up in prison visiting me a few months back and everything else. You know, everybody, sooner or later I always let people down, and that's what I felt about myself. So there was a heavy weight on me, and you start to think, look, you start to evaluate and you're saying to yourself, look, people would they be better without me? Like, because I'm just a drain, you know, and
Yep.
so yeah, I was feeling like I was a draining people, and you know, again, there was always this weight hanging about my shoulders. I thought, you know, and again, at the time of reflection, I was going through my 20s into 30s, and I thought to myself, like, this is what I do. This is what you do, mate. You let people down, you know, whether it's friends, whether it's family. You're going to keep going with that, and this is just going to be how life is for you. So I kind of said to myself, I think because I just became a new father as well, I think that's what stopped me going as far as to even attempt at that time. But I knew I was absolutely certain something had to change. So what I done, it was a very hurtful process as well, because obviously I had to start distancing myself with people. You know, there was obviously some friends and that who, you know, I had to, like, you know, I had to go into a period of isolation. I said maybe lucky or unlucky at the time. You know, I was working down south and I was away from home a lot. But what that let me do is go away for 4 or 5 days. You know, do a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking. I made sure I wasn't drinking anymore, because every time I felt suicidal or anything like that, or the emotions outpoured, I was either using drink or drugs or something like that. So I decided that wasn't going to help the matters. It was going to just cloud my judgment.
Yeah.
So for maybe a period, and at the time, you know, my first marriage was breaking up as well. So at the prospect of my wife and my baby daughter leaving me and going staying somewhere else and stuff like that as well. So it was a very, very difficult time, and I'm not religious now, but at the time, as everybody kind of does, they turn to something that they know, which is familiar, and when they're in a desperate state, you know, I started praying, and you know, I would attend church and stuff like that, and I was basically just crying out to a higher power than I knew, you know, to try and guide me through it, and it basically it's just it's desperation to somebody who's just looking for any answer. So, you know, bit by bit, I started towing the line, and I decided then I wasn't going to do anything again, ever criminal activity, and that was it. And I'll make sure I'll always be on the right side of the law, and I was going to be a good person. And, you know, so in between then, I got a lot of promotion at work. I was starting to, you could see the wheels starting to turn and being a better person. I met my wife 6 months later, well, my current wife just now, and at the time those two were in a transitional period as well in her life. She just went into her 30s, and you know, coming back out the back of a bumpy 20s herself. So to be fair, the two of us weren't really in any fit state to start a relationship, but I think we seen something in each other then, and that was it. We kind of hit it off, and we're still together just now. So that
divine intervention.
Divine intervention, yeah. And do you know what? I always say that to her. I says, I prayed for you.
Totally, I'm with you on that. I'm a 100% believer. Yeah.
Although I'm not religious at all now, so I don't know if he's coming back to get her or what.
We'll work on that another day, right? We'll come back to that story. Yeah.
I'm all right. I'm in a better place now. You can take it back.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got him now.
So that was it. And you know, for the next 7.5 years, I'll be honest, and that was, like I say, 10 years ago. I fudged it. I just get through with just wanting to be a better person, and I still went through periods of maybe making a pig's ear of it, or you know, I'd maybe been out a late night, or I went back to drinking, not heavily, or going back to any of the way that I was before, but you know, I'd get myself drunk and still make a pig's ear of it. You know, there was times that I was up and I was down, you know, but by and large, life did get better. I was moving in an upward trajectory, but I was still subjective to these mood swings, you know, stuff like that. But I towed the line mostly, but I still wasn't rid of any of the demons and stuff like that I had. And I didn't know that. So
at the time, you don't know that's the reason. It's only on reflection, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I got to the end of 2016-17. You know, I another 2 beautiful kids by then as well. Me and my wife had got married. we purchased a couple of properties and stuff. So, like, by and large, on paper, it looked as if I had everything, and you know, and had a great life and everything else. But I wasn't happy within myself. But that wasn't anything really to do with you know, the material side or anything else. There was obviously a lot of stuff that I hadn't really dealt with, a lot of anxieties, fears. I really just discovered this year that my main thing was a fear of abandonment. So what brings with that is vulnerability, and when you're obviously in a position feeling vulnerable all the time, you become very protective. So it affected my marriage just now, and to be fair, the first few years for my wife were probably a bit difficult, but she just couldn't get into me, into the kind of the side that she needed as a man, and I was always having this protective cape round about me, because sooner or later, what I know now, if I let people in, then it always ended up that, you know, that something bad was going to happen.
They would hurt you. That's an old belief, isn't it? If I let people in, and that, do you know what? 99% of the population have that inner belief, that knowing, and that energy. If I let my guard down and someone comes in, it usually ends up in pain somehow.
So that was it. And again,
can I just say, it's going back to your vulnerability, because it's really relevant. And men, particularly men, being vulnerable is, and that for themselves, is not perceived as a strength. You know, it's just like they're mortified when a man feels vulnerable in that situation. It brings up other fears, like they're exposed, they've got no cloak on, they're not protected. It brings up a whole lot of stuff. So imagine a young man having been through that, feeling vulnerable, in fear of something. No wonder life is hard. No wonder the barriers come up. You know?
Yeah, and it's understanding what is good vulnerability and what's bad vulnerability. Absolutely. So I think when we're sitting in a house party after 3 days, and you know, the phone's been ringing, you've missed work, you know, the wife's going bananas, wondering where you are, and you're like, you're wondering. To me, that's bad vulnerability.
Many women would have left you at that point. Yeah.
So and you're maybe messaging the wrong type of people. You're going to the wrong places. You know, you're starting to throw punches in pubs and that.
Yeah.
All bad vulnerability for myself, because you're leaving yourself wide open to whatever comes out the back of that. Yeah. But falling in love, you know, and taking a chance and admitting your feelings, you know, and opening up to the people round about you, showing care and affection to others, helping strangers. These are all good vulnerabilities, you know, and I'm not saying that they can't transpire into something bad, but, you know, there's gratitude and love and affection and all of that behind these things. And I think if anybody that starts studying what these feelings and emotions chemically bring to the body, then they'll know they're good. That's why I describe them as good. So there's a good and a bad side to it, and it's understanding that, you know, you can feel vulnerable. You're not going to get up every day and feel absolutely on your A game, but it's how to harvest that, and it's how to channel it correctly, and then it's how to deal with it. You know, you can get up and it's a wee fire, it started, and you quickly put it out, or you just let it burn away, and the next minute it's brought the full house down. So this is where again, where I'll break it down into caveman terms and pass it back on to the guys. And, you know, when they're talking about a road rage incident or something, or they've had a bit of that, and, you know, then I'm thinking, right, really, what's going to happen here? You go one way, he goes the other, and that's it. So what are you going to sit? How long are you going to sit on that? So you drive back home and you get in the house and you're still hacked off at this incident you've had. Well, next minute now you're passing that on to your wife and kids. Whereas, like, maybe putting a little bit of a spin on it and a different, you know, thought pattern into it, then you can deal with it in 2 minutes' time, and then just not, you know, we're the only species, you know, animals, when a antelope gets chased off a lion, it doesn't run away and get to safety and then think about it again.
About what it's done.
I remember that lion that chased me 2 days ago. It just gets away and it deals with it, and then, you know, then goes back to normal. But because we've got this frontal lobe, and it's been pretty good for us. We've done some good stuff off it, but it lets us dwell on things a bit too long, and so it's a little bit of rewiring. You know, if if you're used to environmentally thinking like that, or culturally thinking like that, or through peer pressure continually thinking like that, then what I'm into just now is challenging convention and getting guys to challenge their conventional belief. And that, when I'm saying beliefs, I don't mean any type of religion or anything like that. Like what they believe is normal, or a normal response to whatever it is they're facing. So that's the kind of work that I'm trying to do with it, and just getting them to say, well, what if? What if that wasn't that? What if it, how do you know that person's story? So, you know, and so by doing that, you can kind of take a lot of heat out of situations, or you can put a different perspective on them. So, yeah.
That's good. That's good. So where are you at today? So we know that you work hard, you've got a beautiful family, and you're really out there doing some awesome work, some fab work for those who need it. So can we just take a few minutes to share where you're at out there in the public eye?
Yeah, so so this kind of, like I said, the first 7.5 years was like fudged it. I got into working with a personal development coach towards 2016-17. The next couple of years, that had put me on a track of self-discovery. I went through a little bit of a bump last year where I was addicted to the grind, shall we say. So I was doing really well. I was, buying properties. I was getting promotions in work and everything else. But it caught up with me stress-wise, and I thought I'd found a formula. It was just, win-win-win at all costs sort of thing. And what that tended to do, it brought up a lot of old fears and insecurities. But in a good sense, it let me see the stuff that I thought had gone away, but hadn't really. It just get buried a little bit deeper down in the subconscious, and it was back to that abandonment, that vulnerability. So I went on another little bit of self-discovery around about November last year to March this year. I came out the back of that. I found a lot of truths about myself in that time. I'd figured it out, like I said, about the abandonment issue, that really was the root cause of everything. So I went back, I got good vulnerable. I spoke to my wife and apologised for some of my old actions and behaviours. I explained to her what I thought it might have been, because there was a lot of fears and insecurities from the past. And in that sense, I then handed over to her my feelings, emotions, and shared beliefs. So that became very, very, very vulnerable compared to what I was used to. For me, to give someone else that, to basically say you were right and I was wrong. And it just, at the time as well, it's uncomfortable if you're still feeling that way. But if you're ready to make that move and you feel it's going to do wonders for you, going back and saying sorry.
It's so powerful. What a powerful tool. I'm with you there.
What it let my wife do is then she softened her guard. Because again, you become accustomed to how somebody else behaves with you. And I think she's seen that I was changing again, and I was healing a lot of old wounds. From then I noticed that my relationship with the kids get better as well. I wasn't as agitated and stuff. I was a little bit more tolerable with them. I was more receptive. So by being very, very comfortable being uncomfortable, so many things opened up to me. But what it then let me do is then go back in and go deeper in that. And I had some trauma that had been going on for about the last 15, 20 years. And I bore a heavy grudge for someone. But that was the root cause of it all. So from actually going back in there, starting to put some understanding to it. And when I mean understanding, is also understanding their side. And then I drew acceptance out of that. And then again, I felt another weight coming off the shoulders. And then just as all as that was happening, at the time the person wasn't in my life, and I thought to myself, whether I ever spoke to him again or not, then that's fine. As long as I'd done my understanding.
You've healed your wound. I
would be able to move on. And then, funnily enough, the following month, that person came back into my life, and they were a changed person too. And it was one of those ones, I just kind of looked up at the universe when that happened. And like I'm saying, I'm no...
Cheers, big man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now I'm ready, is that what you're saying? So it was like, when you actually do sit down and do a bit of philosophy behind it all, and you think, like, it's weird how it works. It's as if something was like saying, you're ready for this now, so you finally came to a place where you understand everything that's going on round about me. So this was all going on round about the same time, like I say, is where, you know, I set up the page. Obviously I'd been doing some voluntary work that I said in at Chris's house. So there was a lot of things going on round about that were in a big continuous loop that were telling me that I was in the right path, you know, and doors were opening up and opportunities were coming about. You know, I was starting to obviously consider at this point that this might be something that I could do with guys, you know, be able to help them in some capacity, whether that's just setting up a Facebook page for them to share their insights, or being able to sit down and talk one-to-one with somebody, or organising, you know, a get-together or something like that. So, but all of this freeing up all of these emotions, I look at it, it's like a ball of Christmas lights, and you just, sometimes when you just start trying to pull them apart, and it's like a nightmare, but like once you start clearing them, it just becomes so much more clearer. And I feel as if that's been the nucleus of this year for me. It's been such a transitional year. I feel in this year alone, I've probably solved more problems or figured more stuff out than I had done in the last decade. Previous to that, the last 2.5 years, I probably learned more than the last 20 years, you know. So it's been that's where I'm at just now with it. Where I see the future going for myself is I've just began a coaching diploma, so I'm going to start doing something a bit more official about it. Also done a Caveman practitioners trainer course a few months back there, so I've got that in the background as well. I need to start getting my finger out a little bit with that there. So I've been talking to some of my, like I done the podcast a couple of days ago as well, and some of my old buddies and that, you know, I've offered to start doing a little bit of one-to-one stuff with them and that. So it's coming to fruition, you know. I'm a great believer in manifestations and affirmations and that. So I've got it all packed up in my head where we're going and what we're doing, but you get a little bit nervous saying it out loud. But every now and again, every now and again, I give somebody a wee tip and say, listen, in 2 months' time I'll be doing this. Or 6 months'
It'll be a
time
different story. 2 months' time will be a different story. You'll be an author. There's a book in you.
well,
there is, and it's called Fudging It, by the way, just to let you know.
So no, I mean, like, I just keep going with what I'm doing, mate, and I say that there's a process to it all, and the process takes care of itself. I'm not in this for money. I know at one point this will probably be a business, but that will take care of itself once it comes round. Now I'm just loving being able to come on and do chats with lists like yourself, you know, do podcasts. You know, we done the radio stuff the other day. I mean, it's just massive, and I never really put a cap on any potential that I have now. You know, I'm 38. You know, I don't feel age is any kind of negative to me now.
It's an illusion. Age is an illusion.
And I don't look back and regret and say, you know, I wish what if I'd have known this in my 20s? You know, I didn't. So that's it. And I just, you know, I only use the past as a point of reflection now, and I use it as a benchmark, just to see where I'm just
where you've got to, where you've come to, rather than where you've been from. I think that's really important.
So that's what I advise to some guys as well, and basically that's how anxiety is born out, isn't it? You're using past experiences to predict the future. So for me, you don't if you want to go back there and live in that window, then that's fine. You know, you're always going to have this cause and effect thing. If you think that that's what happened before, so this will what happen again, then that's fine. Well, I like Joe Dispenza stuff, so I like his terminology is causing an effect. So for me, you can cause, if you want that to happen, you can cause.
You can make it happen. 100%.
You don't have to wait in predictables. And why shouldn't you go to the top of what you're trying to do professionally why shouldn't you have the marriage that you want to have? Why shouldn't you have the health that you want? And, you know, why shouldn't you go on and do all these things that you want to do? You know, it's probably 9 times out of 10, it's a belief system that's actually holding you.
10 times out of 10. I'm with you. Yeah, 10 times out of 10. That's my hymn sheet there. Yeah, it's like, actually, we were all born. The day we were born into an energy of abundance and alignment, and then life gets in the way. School gets in the way, education gets in the way, people get in the way, and creating this monkey chatter, that's what prevents us. So this is what prevents us, because we've already been there. We just got to remind ourselves of how to get back there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like when you were a child. When I watch I've got 3 children now, and you know, I've got a 4 and a 5 and a 7-year-old, and the 11-year-old. You know, so the 5 and the 7-year-old, they're totally impressionable. If they see me out working out, they're out joining in with it. Whereas the 11-year-old's like,
not for me, Dad. That's not cool.
Yeah. And you think, like, at that point, the brain's just so subjective, and you remember back to that time as well. And I loved watching, especially my son who's 5, and he just like, I'll say to the wife, I'm like, that's him. He's in theta brainwave stage, you know, and he's running about, and he thinks he's on the back of a dinosaur, and you know.
I love it. I love that stuff. Yeah.
But that's the thing, they just flip between the real and the surreal, you know. Totally. So that's like, but it gets me thinking about how influential we can be on them, and again, how critical it is to get that upbringing right for them, and be aware of what we're subjecting them to. So we all learn from our past mistakes as well, I suppose. But nothing's ever guaranteed. People have to form their own.
I think that's important you said that, because I think people have to want to do this journey as well, this journey of transition, because I know people look and go, all right for you, it's all right for him, you've sorted your shit out. But you and I and other coaches and mentors out there have been through that process, that transition and that journey, using the mindset and other tools, because there's lots of stuff out there. So it's that desire to want to change is 100%, because without that, and you do see that in people, you will spend time with them, you'll give them guidance, you'll give them tips, you may even work on them, and if they don't do the work, it's not going to change.
No, and I always, and maybe my terminology is a little bit harsher, but I'll say you can't. How do you save somebody that wants to drown? Well, you can't, and you've got to be careful how long you hang on to them, because in the end they can pull you into that water with you. And again, that's where being very aware of yourself for a start, being aware of your circumstances, and just having a little bit more knowledge about what's good and what's bad, you know, and knowing that kind of gut instinct as well. You know, there's toxic relationships you'll have with friends, colleagues. You know, where are your dependencies on that? A lot of time people are just conditioned to, you know, to stay with somebody when they're in a toxic relationship, because it's a harder thought to, you know, go somewhere else. So
it's easier to stay than to walk away, isn't it? Yeah.
They're conditioned to go to the pub every Friday night, even though that they've got a problem with alcohol, because that's where all their mates are.
Yeah.
Or they're conditioned to act in a certain way because that's what their peers do and stuff. So for me, it gets back to that challenging convention. You know, and a lot of the time it's just challenging our own personal convention as well, what we believe is right and what's wrong. And everything starts with a thought for me. Anything you do in life, whether it's setting up a podcast, an interview, you know, going to the toilet or whatever, you know, you have to
anything,
think.
life, So
you can spend your time thinking negatively or thinking, you know, discouragingly about something, or you can say, right, you know what, let's look at that a different way then, you know. That thing you think that is, here's an alternative to it. And the more that you do that and kind of challenge that, and maybe then put that in the application, you know, say to yourself, today I'm going to spend one full day not shouting. It doesn't matter how much the kids irritate me, or how much
I'm just not going to shout.
How much the husband gets on to me. I'm going to challenge myself to do one day not losing my temper, and then see how that feels. And then you maybe try it the next day, and then you try it, and maybe you don't get it right on the 4th day.
Every day,
but by doing that, you're connecting up all these new neural pathways, and you're giving yourself a new habit, and you're starting to sever ties with the old habit now, where else does that apply? Well, you know, let's look at alcohol, let's look at cigarettes, let's look at drugs, let's look at, you know, your diet, let's look at studying, because that was one other thing as well. With my current work, that I work in oil and gas. I've done a lot of courses recently, some very, very hard courses and stuff that I came out of school with no real, you know.
Was it basic education?
Bits and pieces. I've done an apprenticeship. You know, that was about my whack. But nothing that like would have led me on to where I am just now. But that was all born out of a belief system that I tell myself I'm not very good at reading. Well, I'm not very good at reading because I don't read a lot. So, you know, get off. I need to get off my back with that. And if you want to be better at reading, mate, then read. So it's as simple as that. But I started applying myself a lot more the last couple of years to things, challenging my beliefs, challenging my conventional beliefs as well. And just now, you know, I do pretty well in life. On the material side of it, you know, I'm very comfortable. You know, I've got some properties and stuff. I have a great job, but that's not the be all and end all. That's not the definition of happy for me.
You could be miserable as shit on the inside and have all the money in the world.
I had all of these things when I was up and down, and I mean, like last year I was under that much stress that I actually went to the doctor thinking that I had a problem, that I thought I was dyslexic at school, and I was tested out and helped a little bit with it. When I started looking into it a little bit more, like, you know, dyslexia and ADHD were kind of linked as well. And at one point last year, you know, I was down speaking to the doctor and consulting him, and I was saying, like, you know, I think I've had some old triggers from my past, and I'm doing a lot of studying just now, and I'm struggling with it, but I'm becoming quite eccentric with things. I'm becoming quite pedantic, you know, quite obsessed. And is this a behavioural trait that I've never known about? So, you know, like, even to the besties with the best of knowledge, you know, and for me, knowing what I knew and everything else, it was all linked to kind of past experiences and things that I just hadn't healed, but I hadn't went in and done the dirty work on it yet. I hadn't went down deep on it, and that's where I was just trying to deal with stuff on the surface. I was looking for the easy fix. It'd have been easier for me to say, oh yeah, I've had this thing that I've had through childhood, and that's me just finding out about it. And sometimes a lot of people do that when it comes to forming new habits or putting in new practices. We look for the easy thing, we look for the get out, which is on the top, rather than actually looking at it and thinking it's really just a core belief or something that, you know, that we've been told about. Because I mean, I was listening to one of the guys that I follow on Instagram the other day, and he was talking about he'd a fear of roller coasters, or so he thought, because his mum told him he had a fear of roller coasters. So it wasn't until he was 37 he actually realised he didn't have a fear of roller coasters.
It's because his mum had told him.
Because his mum had told him that. So it's astonishing, like, some of the things that we hold on to and harbour. But I mean, you can only ever figure that out if you get the proper education on it, and you get the proper resource, or you go and you work with the proper people that can be able to really challenge that.
And on that note, there is lots of material out there. There's lots of free material, there's social media, there's YouTube, there's books, there's audios. So if somebody sat there saying, I can't afford it, I can't afford the best coach, mentor or course, there is free material out there. There's an abundance of free material out there. There's no excuse. But equally, it's I think something that you said there is take action, do something about it. If you are sat there feeling a bit yucky and a bit down this day, male or female, I know it's about men's health today, but male or female, reach out to somebody, do something, find a book, listen to an audio, watch a program, but do something, because actually it only takes 3 seconds to flick that switch neurologically. It actually doesn't take that long from being really down in the dumps and wallowing in stuff to go, do you know what, ching, let's flip it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got absolutely no, you know, I can't, like I said earlier, I can't give someone any sort of a stick or any sort of a negative comment that doesn't know how to figure their stuff out. If you do and you still remain in the same position, then that becomes a bit of a different thing for me, because
that's a different story.
That's then your choice. If you're sitting there still suffering and you know what to do, or you hate the fact that you go out and continually drink, and you know that you've been to places that have helped you with it, have gave you ways of understanding that or how to go out, but still continue to drink, then you think to yourself, well, that's self-sabotage. And again, that might just be to do with the fact that you don't actually believe that you can stay sober or something like that. Now, because I seen a picture the other day, a photograph, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And it was as if this human being was sitting in the fetal position in water, and all they had was their mouth and nose above the waterline, like breathing, as if they were kind of drowning. Now, you've seen that in the top half of the picture, but what you actually seen in the bottom half of the picture, the water was actually shallow enough that they could have just stood up and stood out of it.
And got their head above the water. Yeah.
And put their head above the water. And I thought that brilliantly describes a lot of people. You know, they're like, I'm in pain, I'm in misery, I don't know what to do. And you're like, it's really that simple. You just stand up, you know, like it's easier than what you think. You don't have to be here, you know, suffering. You have to do something, take action. If taking action is just speaking to somebody, speak to somebody.
Yeah.
You can cover it. You can help deal with a lot of symptoms, and you know, you can do meditation. You can go do some exercise, change your diet. You know, all these other sort of things. You know, do Reiki treatment. There's loads of ways out to make yourself feel better about the symptoms. But for some of us, a lot of things are deep rooted, and it takes a lot of soul searching to figure that out. But again, there's professionals out there. There's people who can help guide you through that. You know, if it's things that you think came from your past, or they might be able to show you an example of why it's maybe came from your past, then it's worth at least getting that consultation. But like you said, you don't necessarily need to be paying somebody X amount of pounds per hour or going to a seminar or a workshop or anything like that. You can stick it into Google or into YouTube and see if there's something similar that you know about. Or there's loads and loads of free material out there. And the freest thing ever is just speaking to somebody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Tap someone's door or pick the phone up to somebody and ask for help. And I think, again, going back to the young man philosophy, asking for help is a big thing. So it's about learning to ask for help. So with that in mind, if there's somebody, and we've kind of really just answered that question, but if there's somebody sat on that edge of the bed feeling that they can't carry on because they're done, life becomes too overwhelming and too painful for them, what would you reach out and say to them, Gerry?
I would say at that point, do something. You've got to do something. So that might be anything that's going to keep you in the game. If I remember my own personal experience, like when you're saying sitting on the edge of that bed, I knew something had to be done. Now, when I'm saying do something, don't go that way. Don't think you need to end it there and then, mate. There's always a way out. Whatever you're going through, there's someone else in the world who's went through it or even went through worse. And that's not trying to belittle your problem or trying to make you feel small and inadequate about it. But there's people out there. And what I'm trying to show when it comes to like the stuff with the man cave and even the caveman philosophy and coming on and doing these chats and being as outspoken as I can be about it, that whatever you're feeling, especially guys from this area that grew up in council estates or guys that have been in prison, guys that have felt suicidal, guys that have had problems with drink, drugs, you know, all that sort of thing, dependencies, you know, I've been through it. And honestly, I'm not a millionaire, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not this famous person or anything like that, you know, so you don't have to be looking up to that and thinking, what's this guy talking about, he's only this or that. I'm a guy that's very, very happy and content just now, but I've got big aspirations, I've got big dreams. I got myself to a place of safety through trying, but without complete lack of knowledge. But now that I do have the knowledge, the world's my oyster. And this is what I'll say to guys, like, whatever you want to get to, even if it's just getting safe, then that's fine. You know, if you just want to if you're in the middle of the sea and you're drowning, you just go into that desert island. And
that on its own is one thing done. Yeah.
And that's it, because for me, but you can use that growth to go on and find yourself in a better position. You know, you maybe be able to apply that and get yourself a new job, you know, a relationship, you know, build bridges with your children, relationship with family members. become active in the community, you know, inspire others. There's no end to it, you know, but the first thing first is do something, and that first thing might be just saying to somebody, hey man, I need a chat.
I need a hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what? So I do apologise for interrupting you, Gerry. Can I ask you, as a mum of 3 boys myself, grown men now, they're not boys, they're grown men, and watching that transition, and we briefly mentioned earlier going from teens to 20, 20 to 30, and then 30 onwards, how we go through a different period of growth. What would you say of, I can't say just mums, parents of young boys, because it really is about changing the stereotype or the stereotypical behaviour and challenging the stigma, really. So as a parent of young boys, what would you suggest?
Well, when I speak to when everybody, we're all seem to be more concerned about what other people think of us nowadays. Social media doesn't particularly help that. You know, we've all got an impression to make, you know, some of us go out and buy cars and houses that we can't afford, we buy clothes that we can't afford. We're all pretty much content to portray an image. Now, you know, I do okay in life and I like my little treats and toys with that, but it doesn't define me. So the first thing I'll say to them, well, this problem that you're sitting with now, who else feels it? Because you would probably say that no one else does. It's you. This is yours to sort out. This is you that feels this. There's nobody else goes to bed at night with these anxieties, these stresses, these thoughts, these behaviours. It's you that's dealing with it. And the one advice I give guys that struggle with peer pressure, and you know, they think that they're wimps and that, you know, they're soft and all of that because they feel it, like, well, for me, if you're telling me that you're letting someone else write your story, then that sounds the softest thing that I could ever imagine, because it's your book. So why hand that over to your friends to dictate? You know, if I come back in tonight and says to my wife that I couldn't do that at the weekend because my mate Johnny or Davey told me that, she'd be like, what are you talking about? You're absolutely crackers. So that's what I'm saying. I says, well, that's peer pressure. You know, if you want to talk to somebody, or you don't want to feel like that anymore, or you don't want to go to this place, or you want things to be better, you're worried about what your mates are actually saying to you. You're wondering what people's portrayal of that will be. You're effectively just giving somebody else the reins to your life. So if that's the case, are they coming to help you deal with that problem the next day? Are they coming to, you know, get inside your head and stop those?
Are they the one that's picking you up when you're down? Yeah.
So that, I don't mean that, you know, and a lot of people, it's easier said than done, but, you know, there's going to be collateral damage. That's the one thing that I'll say to people. When you decide to shift or you make a change, then you're going to shed a skin. Sometimes that skin's in the form of people, friends, family, you know, workmates. But all I can say to them is, like, honestly, see, once you start on this other journey, you're going to meet other people. You know, you meet people that you didn't think you would. And if it's a kind of a journey of being peaceful, happy, content, you know, feeling all these good emotions, then you'll tend to bump into other people who feel like that. Because if you're hanging around the barber shop, you're going to get a haircut at some point. You know, when you're hanging about in places that you don't want to be, with people you don't want to be, then what's that doing to you? You know, and obviously like attracts like. So if you're in this window of thinking miserably, thinking sad, you know, having anger issues and all of that, guess what type of people you're going to meet? Guess what type of people you're going to attract? So it sounds cheesy, but
it's true.
But true. And I mean, like I said, that's how I met my wife. You know, I've went on to do, really, for me, I've overachieved. And sometimes, you know, people think you sound as if you're being boastful or you're full of yourself or whatever else. Remember at one point, you know, I was just trying to keep the lights on. So every day that I'm here, like doing what I'm doing, having a conversation like this and speaking to other people, or messaging somebody back to give them advice, somebody's coming back to me and like, thanks very much for the help you've gave me, then I'm in new territory then. You know, this is the longest that I've ever been sober. This is the longest I've ever, you know, not used recreational drugs. You know, I'm just in uncharted water. And I know sometimes that can be quite daunting for people, again, based on beliefs. But for me, like, I get such a euphoria from it, you know.
Oh no, it's growth. It's growth. Each step, each transition is a period of growth. But just so just finishing up here, what I would like to say is, as a single mum of 3 back in the day, the biggest thing I did for my boys was it's okay to talk. We used to sit around the table, and they used to hate it. They used to cringe. Oh, here she goes again, family chat, right? But it was my way of bringing the boys together and just finding out what was going on in life. And that in turn, now when I look at them as men, they are open, they are outspoken, they do approach each other, they reach out, they do all the things that we are trying to put out there at the moment. So as a parent, I would say, teach your children it's okay to talk, it's okay to communicate, it's okay to listen and speak their truth without judgment. It's got to be free from judgment, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, definitely. Like, there's a surrendering of the ego at some point. That's, and especially with males, that's the biggest thing. You know, we struggle to deal with. The ego is massive. Once you start to let that go a little bit, then new parameters open up. You know, new possibilities open up. For me, again, back being in that vulnerable side, like I never really spoke about suicide or anything like that up until recently, because I was that bottled up about it, or I wanted to do something about it, but I never spoke about my own experiences with it. Yeah. So there's a little bit of vulnerability that comes from me, especially speaking, you know, going on publicly and speaking about it as well. So, but for me, that brings a little bit of alleviation as well, because at the end of the day, we sing the praises of people when they you know, survive cancer. We sing the praises of people when they survive like serious illnesses. So why do we not sing the praises of people who have survived suicide? I mean, because at one point there was something there, whether it was a condition or an illness, that was making that potentially had their life in jeopardy. So for me, there should be no stigma around about things. There should be no shame around about it. We're all human beings, just the way that somebody's leg breaks, or, you know, we pick up an illness, pick up cold, whatever else. We're not we're subject to environmental and biological changes within us, and again, that's where a lot of mental health issues, or current mental health that aren't biological, come from. It's born out of circumstances and events, and again, it's just keeping on top of that and trying to mitigate it, and using the tools and resources against whatever you're facing in life as best you can.
So thank you so much for that, Gerry. What a chat this has been. It's been a minefield of information. Where can our listeners reach out to you if we've got any young men, well, not actually just young men, males in order, who want to reach out to you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so on social media, I have the Man Cave group page, which is male only, so sorry girls, but it's a place for guys to go. We share fitness, philosophy, all that good stuff, you know, tips in life, viewpoints, you know, little hacks, you know, how to make things a little bit better for us, and even just stuff for the kids, you and the kids and all of that to go to. But it's just that it's a community, guys, trying to lend experiences and supporting each other out. Just recently we've put on men's yoga classes. That's going to resume again this weekend, so that's male only for the guys in the Man Cave. So again, it's getting that little bit of comfortability, feeling uncomfortable, so because it's new to some guys, but it's just a perfect opportunity to come and meet up. We also run what we call a walk, talk and dip. So we meet up at Chartlerrow Country Park, we go a walk round about it, we circuit, and then we go down to the water and we do a little bit of cold water exposure as well. We just do some deep abdominal breathing in there for 4 or 5 minutes. Again, putting you in an uncomfortable position, but by doing that and challenging the body's response to the environment around about you, we're trying to show them what else can you do by doing that. Because first we meet early in the morning, sometimes it's cold, dark, miserable. So you're doing things you don't particularly like, but at the same time it's beneficial. So that may be translated into, you know, watching your temper, you know, watching what you say, watching your diet. So there's all that kind of, I've got all these hidden messages in what we're doing with it. We're running a retreat for the guys. There's 16 years going up to Glencoe for a weekend away, a weekend immersion. So that's good. We're going to be circuits, hill walking, meditation, yoga, and a bit of cold water therapy on that again. And I also have a couple of pages, one on Facebook called the Caveman Philosopher, and I've got another one on Instagram with the same handle as the _ Caveman _ Philosopher as well.
And I'll put the links underneath as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to Gerry, I'll put the social media links, and then they can contact you direct if that's okay.
So I mean, there's like, even I've had, you know, some women come to me and speak to them and saying how their husband or son might benefit from it. So obviously the group, like I said, is male only with it, but both the Caveman pages, they're for anybody or anything like that. But to be honest, I'm by and large, I'm there for anyone that kind of needs a chat at any one time. I take a lot of time out of my day to try and help as many people out as I can. The whole idea is I would like to take this message into places where it's needed most: prisons, youth centres, into the male population that don't want to talk about these things. But it's universal, you know. I want to go to the places that nobody else wants to go with this, and you know, and you know, be able to talk to people on their terms. You know, I've got quite a good job in oil and gas, so I can get into a boardroom and talk their lingo on their level. I can also go into a prison and talk to the guys on their lingo and on their terms as well. So the message is unilateral. You know, I've struck up conversations with a business suit or a tracksuit, so that's where I'm at.
And that's interesting. Actually, we will add that on, because actually, if there's anybody listening for their workplace, if they think they would benefit from Gerry coming into their workplace to do a little talk or a seminar, or even just an open, free discussion, absolutely, please reach out to him. So on that note, massive love, keep smiling, keep connected until the next Accelerate Yourself podcast. Massive love, take care, bye for myself, and
bye-bye for the Caveman.
Bye for now. Bye.